Welcome to another edition of Tobs Talk on Greenlight. Matt, Mika here. The Tobs are 25-24, looking into the 2013 playoffs. Tobs just beat the Gastonia Grizzlies as Bradley Morton was the hero, blasting a 3-run shot over the left field wall to take the lead. The Tobs also lost to Peninsula, Fayetteville, and Edenton to drop them in that 5th spot. Joining me on the show today will be Coach Austin Love. Me and him will break down tonight's matchup as well as the past couple games. Riley Corker and I will discuss the Tobs' future heading into the playoffs. Also, Matt Remblek will be sitting down with me as we dive into his career at the University of Akron. Also, Riley Corcoran will interview Jerry from Greenlight. All this coming up on Tobs Talk on Greenlight.
That was good.
Nailed it. Welcome back to Tobs Talk. Riley Corcoran here with us, breaking down tonight's matchup as well as the past couple games. Now, the Tobs, they come off a win against Gastonia, and then they lost a couple against Peninsula, Fayetteville, and Edenton. But let's go back to way a couple weeks ago. It's been a while since we've been here. Right. They had a doubleheader against Edenton. Let's go back, break down that game. Nick Monroe in the win. He played great. He pitched well. He got ahead. What did you see from him?
Well, Nick Monroe, like you said, got ahead right away and was able to scatter the hits and limit the damage. Yes, he gave up 9 hits, but at the same time, against that Edenton lineup, to hold them to 1 run, it just doesn't matter how you break it down. As long as you hold them to 1 run less, I mean, that's just very impressive. The Tobs, in general, in that doubleheader, yes, they came away with the split, but with how hot Edenton has been, it's pretty impressive to come away with the split in that night, holding Edenton to 3 runs in 19 innings. That's very good by the Tobs pitching staff as a whole. Forget about John Valk III and Dylan Fry, what they did in Game 1. But Nick Monroe was great and trying to get into that starting role again. It didn't go as well as he planned against Morehead City, but had a way better effort at least last time out.
Right. Now let's go back to Gastonia. They played Gastonia Grizzlies and they won in that pretty handily. They, let up a couple runs late in the game, but then a big bomb from Bradley Morton. He came up huge for them. What you see from him is in his at-bats?
Bradley Morton just continues to get better throughout the course of the year. He went through that one slump, but then besides that, he's been near everything, I guess, statistically for the Wilson Tobs. It's great to see that from Bradley, and he's just kind of flying under the radar, no matter where he bats in the batting order. We discuss that from time to time, but to see him display some power is pretty nice to see. We know he has the speed. We know he can hit for contact for sure. He can play the outfield. He can play first base. He's a real special talent. For him to get over the wall with a home run, I love to see that.
Right. Now, you mentioned flying under the radar. Let's talk about Matt Remblek. He's kind of struggled this year at the plate as well as the field. He's a fielder's position. Playing shortstop. Had a couple errors this year. He's been struggling, but against Gastonia, he came out big. Bases were loaded, 2 outs, and he hit that single to drive in those 2 runs. How would you see from him?
Baseball is all about momentum, and for Matt Remblek, yes, he struggled a bit this summer, but if he can have a good last week and a half, I mean, that would just propel him thinking very good going into school ball, and that might have started the other night. It was great to see him pick up a clutch RBI. He's usually a situational hitter, and he'll take a drop in his batting average from time to time because he will be the guy to move a guy over or to just hit a ground ball to second, to move someone over to third base, sacrifice fly, whatever it may be. So Matt Remblek, the ultimate team player when it comes to his at-bats. And again, nice to see him pick up 2 RBIs. Hopefully that propels him now with Billy Matroni being gone for the rest of the year, that, hey, maybe Matt Remblek gets some playing time here the last 5-6 games or so and really have some positive momentum going back to Akron.
Yeah. Now you talk about momentum. We talk about momentum a lot on this show, especially with baseball. Again, right. Momentum's huge. Dylan Fry, he's transferring to a new school next semester, so he pitched the other night against Gastonia. He struggled a bit, but he battled through. He battled through pitches, got the outs he was looking for. He pitched 7 innings. What you see from him that was impressive?
Well, Dylan Fry, you talk about him battling. That's big because he is trying to transition into that starter's role. Right. And for him, it's going to be some growing pains. We know he has phenomenal stuff. It just, like we were just talking about against Edenton, he went 5 1/3, did not allow a hit. I mean, that's just impressive to say the least against the number 3 collegiate baseball team in the country in Edenton. But coming out in his start against Gastonia, he kind of hurt himself a little bit with that error that he had and just struggling with his control. But for Dylan Fry, just battling, trying to at least get his arm, get his body used to those starter-like innings because he is going to have to do that a lot next year and beyond. And if he makes it to the next level, I mean, he can be a starter or reliever, any hybrid of that situation. But he's such a special talent. I think it's all just mental. mental and just trying to figure out what it takes to be a starter and transition into that role.
Right, now talking about battling, both Ragnar brothers, they struggled this year, and Nick came out huge at the end of the year, playing great. Also, Logan Ragnar, showcasing the power a little bit the other night, hitting a 2-run blast, actually driving in both Ragnar brothers. That was kind of cool to see Logan Ragnar hit that home run.
Oh, definitely. And Logan, we talk about Nick a lot the last couple of weeks. Logan, you have to give him a lot of credit because he changes batting stance mid-season, and that's tough to do, especially at this high of level. To see him cash in with the home run, he's got some pop in there, and I think from his new batting stance that he just developed a little bit ago, he'll have way more power this year at Central Michigan than he did when he was crouching down and really just trying to hit for average. But it's nice to see him hit a home run as well. That game against Gastonia was cool in so many ways because the guys that maybe you wouldn't expect or have not carried the load for the Tobs for the most part of this season really delivered the damage the other night.
Right. Now the Tobs are outside looking in currently in the 5th place with Wilmington in the 4th seed right now. With a couple games left, they have a slim chance to make the playoffs, but at the same time, the cards are stacked against them. How do you play in that type of position with a couple games left?
Well, here's the deal. A lot of people at least have left now for the Tobs, at least some back and forth, whether it's injuries, just needing to go home, shut down their arms. And the guys that are here want to be here, that want to be here, that can rally around each other. They still can reach that goal of 30 wins. And, hey, if it doesn't work out for the playoffs, it's just a matter you tip your cap to some other teams because the East Division is absolutely stacked this year. If this was the old format the last couple of years, the Tobs would already be in the playoffs. I think a lot of people forget about that because of how weak the West has been. But in the same token, approaching these last couple of games, hey, you keep fighting until you're mathematically eliminated. And yes, it might be a couple more days for the Tobs, but for tonight, you have a favorable schedule down the stretch. You play Moorhead City, who has struggled. They've lost 8 of their last 10 games. And then you have Petersburg for 2. And then, if you have a chance, you play Fayetteville. And Fayetteville is struggling right now as well. So it's still in there for the Tobs. It will be very tough because when you have to rely on somebody else, it's never a good feeling. But the Tobs unfortunately put themselves in this hole. And all they can do is worry about themselves. And they obviously have to win out. Whether it's 5 or 6 games, they make up that final game against Fayetteville. They have to win out and then hope for help at this point, but play until you're mathematically eliminated, that's for sure.
Right. Now the Tobs compared to last year, a huge progress for them, passing their win total from last year. So that's definitely progress for the Wilson Tobs going into next year if they do get eliminated from the playoffs. And even if they do make the playoffs, that's a huge milestone for them. So we'll wrap up the show next on Tobs Talk on Greenlight. And welcome back to Tobs Talk. I'm joined with Coach Austin Love discussing tonight's matchup as well as the previous couple games. Let's go back a couple weeks ago when you guys played Eatonton Steamers in a doubleheader. In that win, Nick Monroe pitched very, very well. What did you see from him compared to his other start?
The biggest thing was in the stretch, he made some adjustments. He's always been pretty good out of the windup.
Yeah.
After his start at Moorhead City, where he struggled in the stretch in that one inning, we talked to him about just having some more rhythm and maybe loading a little bit more and breaking his hands a little earlier. And that night he looked like he was actually better in the stretch than in the windup. And he's got big time stuff. That night in the 7-inning ball game, he was really letting it fly, throwing pretty hard. And he even got the compliment from the other team's head coach that that he was the best arm they had seen all year as far as his effectiveness and arm strength and breaking ball. So he's just continuing to develop. He's another one of those guys who, here at the end, he's going to be pretty strong because he didn't pitch a lot in school ball. So, we're very pleased that he's at that level right now, and he's going to do any number of roles for us this last week, whether it's closing a game, whether it's starting a game, just so we can try to piece things together and make a playoff run.
Right. Then you guys traveled to Eatonton in their road swing, and then you guys had a tough loss against them. But a bright spot was TJ Fussell. He pitched well. What did you see from him that was impressive?
Well, that was just the second time I had seen him. He played in the Southern Collegiate Baseball League most of the summer, and at the roster freeze deadline, we made some calls. I'm from Statesville, and I know some people that own the Statesville Owls organization. And, they put me on to some kids in the league. And TJ played for the Morganton Aggies, led the league in strikeouts and had very, very few walks. And, got in touch with his coach. And, some other teams were on him. But, he liked our situation here. He's got good arm strength, real good breaking ball, good secondary stuff. And he kind of did the same thing Nick did. When you have that kind of arm strength, especially against Eatonton, you have to use it and pitch inside a little bit and mix up your stuff. And in their ballpark, he did a great job and pitched well enough. Really should have got a win. I can't remember how many earned he actually gave up, but I think it might have been one, if that. He was lights out for most of the night, and hopefully we'll see that from him in his next start too.
A couple nights ago, coming off 3 straight losses, you traveled to Gastonia and you had a huge game, winning 12-7. Bradley Morton was huge. He was kind of like the hero. You guys were down, then came up with a big 3-run bomb. What did you see from him in his approach at that at-bat?
He's starting to get his foot down and keep his hands back a little better instead of hitting with his foot in the air. And the funny thing is that I was standing out in the outfield with Logan Rigner, and he said, Coach, how does Bradley Morton have so much pop? And later on that night he hits a home run, and then the guy I'm talking with, hit a home run as well. So he had a little more fun that night. He's been putting a lot of pressure on himself, as a lot of our guys are. Try to cut down their strikeouts, and that was one thing we really tried to go into that night. Just say, hey, screw all the pressure. Let's just have fun the rest of the year, and if we make the playoffs, great. If we don't, let's just enjoy each other, have a good time, not get stressed out about it. And Dylan Fry was huge. We felt like we need to get him a start. He's one of our better arms as well, so we wanted to get him a start so he could also start, later on, possibly the last game of the year to give us an opportunity to get into the playoffs. So, but Bradley's home run was huge, especially after giving up a couple to give us some separation from the Grizzlies.
You mentioned Logan Regner hitting a bomb also. Now, do you think Nick Regner and Logan Regner are going to have battle it out a little bit towards the end of the year, see that little competition?
No, talking to both of them, they'll tell you that they really don't talk much.
Right.
Especially, them being brothers on a team, it's something that they're going to talk about later and really appreciate. But I think right now they don't understand they understand the concept, but it's just not that big to them. But Nick has been huge here lately, and actually the home run from Logan was big because it gave us more separation. Anytime, you're a grand slam away from being tied, especially as a visiting team, you want to have that 5th or 6th run to give you some separation. That way there's some room for error. Right. You don't want those errors, but, as far as walks and fielding mistakes, but it gives you some breathing room. And, bringing in Mika Wells, for that last inning. He hadn't pitched in a while, had a little bit of an illness, so to get a little more separation from Logan was big time. And Nick, I don't know what else to say about that guy. He was very, very patient. I know he hated sitting the bench for the time that he did, but he's taken his opportunity and run with it, and it's tough to take him out and line up every day. Right.
Also, another huge bright spot was Matt Remblak coming up with the 2 RBIs with that huge single when the bases were low with 2 outs. What did you see from him in his approach at that at bat?
He was getting his foot down a little bit more and letting the ball travel. And more importantly, that was huge because we've been struggling with runners in scoring position, especially second and third, less than 2 outs, and then we get to 2 outs, so we can't get a big hit. And that was huge, just, again, to create some separation and just kind of breathe easily so we can continue to have fun and not get stressed out about the game. We had some guys in the lineup that had been struggling. They mixed in some hits. And, he's one of those guys, and he hit the ball hard all night. And, probably the softest ball he hit was the ball that fell in for the hit and, got him the 2 RBIs. So hopefully he can keep it going and the whole team keep it going. If we score 12 runs the rest of the way, every night, I think we got a good shot.
Right. Now, going into tonight, you guys take on Morehead City at historic Fleming Stadium. What do you have to do tonight to propel another victory?
It's all about your starting pitcher. John Valek III will start tonight, and we expect to get what we always get from him, 6 or 7 innings, with 60, 70 pitches thrown. He matches up well against his club in our ballpark. So nothing new from him, and just, continue to have fun, try to score runs early and make plays, and hopefully we can, get us a win.
The Tobs take on Morehead City Marlins tonight at historic Fleming Stadium. Coming up next, I'll sit down with Matt Remblak to discuss his past at the University of Akron and dive into his career playing for his father. This is coming up on Tobs Talk on Greenlight. And welcome back to Tobs Talk. I'm joined with Matt Remblak. Let's go to Gastonia. You had a huge hit driving in 2 runs. What you see in that at-bat that put you in that successful position?
Well, first off, I was always my approach. I stick with one approach, and that's always hit the fastball, hit it as early as I can. And I got behind, fouled off a few fastballs, fouled off a couple of pitches I could have drove, and then he had a pretty good breaking pitch, so I was looking for that down the count, and he threw it to me, and he kind of left it up hanging, up and in. I tried to just inside out, and that's what I did, and blooped right over the second baseman's head, so pretty successful.
That's successful indeed. Talking about in the summer, you're one of the guys that loves to have fun for the Tobs. The Tobs, you guys are very, very close. What's been so enjoyable playing with these guys for the Tobs?
Just how well we connect. It's like we're all best friends out there, just having fun, playing jokes on one another, and we always just kid around with each other and just make fun. And it's always just about having fun this summer, and that's just what we do.
Yeah, you and Billy Matroni developed a huge relationship. Did you guys, give each other, positive criticism throughout the entire year, splitting time with him at short?
We joked around. We joked around about some of the fields we played on, and we joked around about some of the errors that we've made, and we joked around when Julio would be hitting us fungos or whatever in infield during BP, and we always had fun with it, and during the game always checking out girls or doing something like that. Just always having fun.
Right. You are always there. I'm always in the press box before the game, and you're there taking fungos from coach. What, in your past, how big is it to prepare for games and for the season, taking extra fungos, taking extra hacks in the cage? How do you develop as a player going into the season?
It's everything. You have to prepare well, so going into a certain situation that you're ready for it. So you've got to be prepared at all times. So and doing whatever you have to do, like getting extra ground balls or taking extra swings or something like that. It's just preparation is the key to success, I think.
Right. You play for the University of Akron, and actually you play for your dad, which is kind of cool. How is that relationship between you and your dad playing for the Zips?
My freshman year last year was kind of rough. We weren't really used to each other. He hadn't really coached me before. It was rough. We had a few arguments and stuff like that, and it was tough seeing him as my coach because, I've known him for dad my whole life, and, it was kind of tough for him coaching me too because I'm his son and now I'm a player and he's trying to treat me equally. But this past year, my sophomore year, we had a pretty good connection. We weren't really up each other's throats the whole time and stuff like that. So it was a lot better this year, and I'm expecting next year to be even better for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, me being a former Zip myself, playing at Lee Jackson, how do you feel about Lee Jackson and Canal Park where the Akron Arrows play? Because you guys play at both, so what's the difference there?
Well, main difference between Lee Jackson and Canal is that Canal has stands. We don't even have stands for you to sit at. It's pretty bad, but I mean, our grounds crew's done a better job at Lee Jackson with resurfacing the infield. Our outfield could still use some work, but our infield's not too bad. But overall, the Akron Arrows, it's a minor league ballpark, so they have a nice surface, beautiful stadium, so it's really nice playing there.
It's a blast playing here down here as well with beautiful weather. Being in the MAC in Ohio, it's a little snowy here and there. What's the difference between playing cold weather games as well as summer ball, playing in beautiful weather like this? What's the biggest difference for you?
Not worrying about freezing your butt off. It's like when you're playing in cold weather, like Sean Godfrey will probably tell you, playing at Ball State, it's miserable playing in the cold, like 30-degree weather or below, and you can't feel your fingers, you can't feel you release the ball or anything like that, and you always have to make sure you're moving around and staying warm any way possible. But the difference is you can enjoy baseball a lot better in the warm weather instead of being in the cold.
Right. Matt Ramblack, a huge bright spot for the Tobs as well as the University of Akron, playing for his dad as a Zip. We'll wrap up the show with Riley Corcoran on Tobs Talk on Greenlight.
Riley Corcoran back here with Jerry Stansel, one of the biggest supporters of Tobs Talk. It's been so fun all year long. And Jerry, it's just been very special to be here at Greenlight all year. First, I want to say thanks for allowing us to do this. It's been great.
Absolutely. It's been awesome having you guys here. I'm excited about Tobs Talk.
Oh, it's great.
Cool.
It's made a lot of strides the last year. Been happy to be a part of that. And so is Greenlight, making in North Carolina's Gigabit City. Big time strides whatsoever. Just tell everyone a little bit more about that.
That is huge strides to be the second city in the nation in order to offer a gig to somebody. And we have about 4 or 5 homes on it and loving it to death. It's working great for them, but to be able to give them that technology, to have that technology here in Wilson, North Carolina.
Well, I was surprised when I said that too. Second city in the nation. We're talking Wilson, North Carolina. I didn't know they were second in anything. No offense.
We've got a lot of cities around here jealous. Trust me on that. I hear a lot.
Well, I'm sure you do it in the nation all the way around it. And Jerry, also Greenlight, doing a lot of things in the community, trying to help everybody out. Again, just fill everyone in on that because Greenlight does so many great things.
One of the 5 key steps that we have that we're going to do is support. That's number one to us, is that we want to support the people here in Wilson, support our city, and the Tobs. This is where you guys come in. This is our 3rd year. We're excited about our partnership with you guys and teaming with you guys, the fun that we have, and the great ball that you're playing.
Yes.
That's a big difference too. But to be able to support and help you guys and help the new players that come in, the young guys, and do whatever we can.
And the exposure is huge, whether it's from the broadcasting side of it, from the players, the coaches. I know that it makes the Tobs, it helps the Tobs in the sense be one of the premier organizations in the Coastal Plain League to have that kind of exposure. You think maybe other people are going to catch on to this or whatnot, the special connection Greenlight has with the Tobs?
Well, they better get on the ball. I'm going to tell you that, because Dave and his team, the great job that they do here with this filming is they better hurry up. They better catch on, because this has been a special part and a special thing that we can offer the Tobs is this.
I couldn't agree more.
How cool is that?
Oh, it's great. And new technology as well with Greenlight. Anything in the works that Greenlight's trying to develop?
Oh, you're talking about new technology.
Yeah.
Watch this.
Whoa!
Okay, Jerry wasn't kidding about that whole time travel thing.
No,
Okay.
we're very serious about our technology here at Greenlight.
Dave Bumgarner, the executive producer of Tobs Talk, switching to the other side of the camera for first time, I think. So it's nice to have you on this side first off.
Yeah, it's a little bizarre to be staring into the lens and the blinding light and everything.
See,
It's really,
now you know
it's kind
how-
of freaking me
now
out.
you know how I felt all year long.
Yeah, I don't know how you guys do this stuff. I'm happy to hide behind the camera and push the buttons and let you guys handle the hard stuff.
Well, it's all worked all year long. It's been great. We'll get into Tobs Talk here very briefly about what goes into the process of it. It's more detailed than a lot of people would think, and we're very appreciative of it. But Jerry was just mentioning about North Carolina's gigabit city in the sense of Wilson and what Greenlight's been able to do. Can you go more in depth on that for our viewers?
Absolutely. So gigabit internet access means that the internet access available here in Wilson, North Carolina, and only in Wilson and Wilson County, is about 100 times faster than the fastest connection you can get anywhere else in the state. And frankly, it's faster than just about everything else in the country. There are a handful of cities that are starting to offer the same thing as us. They're in the process of doing construction and rolling out fiber and kind of getting things ready, setting up infrastructure. But we're already here. We already have customers on this tier, already getting gigabit internet access. And this is stuff that, 5 years ago would never have been possible. So it's really cool to be part of a company that's offering this service to their residents.
And I tell you what, when I came here originally to Wilson a couple months ago, I was like, wow, very impressed with what Greenlight's been able to do, especially with Tobs Talk. We'll get into the basics of what we do here the last couple of months here shortly, but just in general, how much has Tobs Talk, I guess, progressed in the 3 years that you've been the producer of it, with what you've added in new, what has been different? Because, hey, even from the first time we started this year to right now, there's a lot of changes, all for the better.
Yeah, so Tobs Talk originally, the first time I saw it, we had a pregame show that we would shoot in front of kind of a static background at the baseball museum over at Fleming Stadium. And now we shoot here in front of a green screen at the Greenlight Studios. And what's really cool is by shooting in front of a green screen, we can do whatever we want with the background. We've gone from a single camera straight on shot to a three-camera shoot, which lets us basically have different angles that we can switch between when we're doing production. So if you want to really focus on what one person is saying, we can do that now without having to zoom in and out a whole bunch. We have basically all these different angles we can set up. We've added lights. Like I said, we basically built a studio specifically for Tobs Talk. We've gotten to use it for a couple other cool things, but it's been a significant improvement.
And for you now, I mean, even getting going more, just something that Greenlight can use as a tool maybe to reel people in. I know for the exposure, and again, we were just talking about it with Jerry a little bit, but the exposure it gives the Tobs and coming in here, can you tell that when the coaches come in, the players come in, how special this really is, even though it might be, whenever we shoot or whatnot, but you can tell it's a little bit more special. Can you tell that from your side of the camera?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's this really cool thing that happens where as the year goes on, you see basically everybody involved with the show gets a lot more comfortable. With you having the coach on for every single episode, we've watched him go from kind of, okay, I'm going to show up, I'm going to do this, it's this thing that I'm handling, I'll be here, whatever, to really, it's turned into more of a conversation with the coach, which is really awesome. It's nice to see that progression. I think it's something that gives the Tobs a lot of exposure. I've heard that we're the only team in the entire league that has a TV show, which is pretty awesome, and it's just great to be involved with.
And I know that throughout the nation, this is just another mark you can put up there, less than 5 teams in the country have a pregame show for Collegiate Summer League Baseball. So
Really?
even more impressively for that, and you're a big part of that. I want to thank you for everything that you've done first off, because
Sure,
it has
sure.
been great. Everybody behind the camera, in front of the camera, again, a couple of cool things that, again, second nature to us as far as
Sure.
a green screen behind
Sure.
it, or being able to pan out in and out, or like you said, the one camera shot when you have 3 or whatever it may be. Tell our viewers a little bit more about that as well, maybe the green screen panning in and out and stuff.
Yeah, so right now, the picture that you're seeing is the final result after we take all 3 cameras worth of footage and we edit them down. But I can make all of those effects, all of the green screen disappear by doing this. So now you're seeing us in our actual environment here at Greenlight Studios. It's not a huge room because we don't need it to be. We have a light here, there, and over there. We have the green screen behind us, as you can see. It's pretty basic stuff. Basically, we just need a single color solid background that we can use that we'll take out later with the computer. We use a program called Adobe Premiere, and then we use Photoshop to basically get the green screen out, put the titles at the bottom of the screen that you can see, cut between all the different camera angles, edit all of the footage so that we have just the best part of every interview rather than all the talking and hanging out that we do before every shot. I mean, the thing that people don't get to see is that we're having a lot of fun doing this. I love this part of my job. And it's pretty cool. So I'm gonna put all of those effects back now, if that's okay with you.
That's fine.
All right. Enough of the peeking behind
Okay.
the curtain thing.
Yeah.
All right?
Because, I mean, that might surprise a lot of people that
Yeah.
it's not just the blue back there with all
Exactly.
the logos. You think it might
Exactly.
just be popped in there.
Well, and the crazy thing is that we used to shoot in front of just a solid, it was like a fabric-y paper thing that had the logos printed on it, and there was not a lot of flexibility. We couldn't really move it to another location when we wanted to. It was always the same picture behind it all the time, no matter what. I mean, the nice part now is that we can change this to be whatever we want, and that gives us a lot of flexibility.
And anybody that knows anything about television knows that this is pretty special. To have the green screen
yeah.
back there,
Oh, yeah.
and to be able to have that flexibility back and forth. Just another development that Tobs Talks has made throughout
right.
the course of 3 years, and hopefully it's a long-standing relationship at least. And again, we want to thank everybody behind the camera, because you see us at the end of the product with Coach Love, the players, myself, Matt, Mika, but it's really you guys behind the screen that make everything happen. I know you agree, but that it truly is what happens here at Tobs Talk. So again, want to thank you for everything
absolutely.
there. It's been a fun year, truly the highlight, I think, of everybody's day, being able to do something like this, and a time travel thing too. I mean, you
Yeah.
guys are pretty back and forth here.
It's one of those. The nice part is we have studio magic, right? So I think what did Jerry do to get out of here? Did he just snap his fingers?
He just snapped his fingers.
All right, I'm going to give it a shot. Riley, thanks so much for having me on,
Yeah,
man.
thanks, Dave.
All right, here we go.
Whoa, holy smokes. That was pretty cool, Jerry. I did not expect that coming whatsoever.
Wasn't that cool?
You pulled that rabbit out of your hat there.
That's how we roll here at Greenlight.
Well, again, we want to thank you for everything that you do. It's just been great all
Absolutely.
year
It's
long,
wonderful.
and we're going to wrap up the show next. This is Tobs Talk on Greenlight.
And another edition of Tobs Talk in the books. Thank you to Matt Remblack, Riley Corcoran, Austin Love, and Jerry from Greenlight for joining us on this show today. The Tobs are 25-24 currently outside, looking into the 2013 playoffs. The Tobs will take on the Morehead City Marlins at historic Fleming Stadium tonight. So come join us as the last Thursday of the year. Also, it's Host Family Appreciation Night, so give thanks to all the host families out there that hosted either player or staff of the Wilson Tobs. The next Tobs Talk is on Saturday, as the Tobs will take on the Petersburg Generals at historic Fleming Stadium. This is Tobs Talk on Greenlight.